Be a hurricane when it gets in toward that region.
John Cangelosi at the National Hurricane Center. Could be a hurricane by tomorrow. America is listening to Fox News.
Summer's ending, and savings are back in business with Dell's Labor Day sale. Small businesses can save up to 40% on select business computers with Intel Core processors, plus free shipping on everything, including a wide selection of thousands of top-brand electronics. Give our specially trained small business technology advisors a call. They can help you find just the right tech to fit your business with Labor Day savings. Visit Dell.com/business deals or call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
When you fire up a John Deere 1 Series tractor, you can tackle the job without wrestling the attachments. Hook up everything from a front loader to a drive-over mower deck in no time. So you can haul gravel, cut grass, or do any job in between. Because when things just click, work just gets done. And now get a 1 Series for just $99 a month at your nearest participating John Deere dealer. Nothing runs like a Deere. Run with us. Search John Deere 1 Series for more. 0% annual percentage rate. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
President Trump at that G7 summit as he met with Germany's leader a half hour ago. They talked about ISIS. He said while the U.S. has driven the fighters out of the Islamic State they carved in Iraq and Syria.
We've captured thousands of ISIS fighters. We have them now. They're captured. They're in various locations, but predominantly in one. They came from Europe in almost all cases, and we've told Europe, I hope you're going to be able to take them back and do something.
He says it'd be unfair for the U.S. to have to deal with the captured fighters. Now, ISIS has spread to Afghanistan.
Securing America.
The terror group claimed a loyalist was behind a suicide bombing in Kabul that killed more than 60 people, raising new concerns about the stability of the region. Defense Secretary Mark Esper told Fox News,
I don't agree that ISIS is in a resurgent state in Syria, but that doesn't mean we haven't seen them spring up in places like Afghanistan.
President Trump thinks countries like Russia, Iran, and Turkey should be fighting ISIS.
All of these countries are going to have to fight them. Because do we want to stay there for another 19 years? I don't think so.
2 Army brigades are set to deploy to Afghanistan this fall as peace talks continue. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
A judge in Oklahoma is expected to deliver his verdict this afternoon in a case against Johnson & Johnson, the first one involving a state to go to trial accusing a drug company in the opioid crisis. Oklahoma wants Johnson & Johnson held liable for the consequences of painkiller addictions. The company argues it has acted responsibly. The price of gas keeps going down.
In this case, in these 2 weeks, the drop is 8 cents per gallon. The new average for regular grade nationally is $2.66.
That's analyst Tripoli Lundberg. She surveys stations nationwide. So does AAA. Its national average for regular gas lower than hers at $2.59 a gallon. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
And good morning. Good Monday morning. 6:05. We're looking at 65 degrees right now. Let's take it to our traffic center and see what's happening on your morning commute.
Well, we start off our Monday morning traffic commute in Lancaster County. They're working a vehicle versus Deerich, and that's at Terza Church Road right there at East North Corner Road. So watch out for that. York and Chester County getting the all cleared this time. Dave Lowell Boulevard, Cherry Road, Celanese Road in Rock Hill. They're looking good traffic-wise. No accidents there. 77 northbound out of York County on your way to the state line on this Monday morning. That's a smooth ride. And north of the border, they already have delays on I-77 northbound between Clanton Road and Wilkinson Boulevard due to a resurfacing project.
Still feels amazing out there this morning. Mostly clear sky and comfortable. Our temperatures barely getting to low 80s this afternoon. Still low humidity and nice sunshine expected. We're looking for a quiet pattern for now, but some showers will be returning tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
To the WRHI News Center for a check of your local headlines, brought to you by Good Pharmacy. Rock Hill's hometown pharmacy for over 50 years. Camden Avenue at Ebenezer Road.
Good Pharmacy, taking care of families for 4 generations.
This is pharmacist Kia Hicklin. We have 6 pharmacists that are knowledgeable, friendly, and ready to get to know your family and their needs.
My mom loves Good Pharmacy.
Ebenezer Road at Camden Avenue, Rock Hill.
One person is dead. Another was rushed to the hospital after a shooting in York County late Saturday night. Sheriff's deputies told our television news partner, Channel 9 Eyewitness News, that shooting happened along Pine Bluff Court near Steel Creek Road, which is just right outside of Fort Mill. According to the York County Sheriff's Department, it was a domestic dispute between a boyfriend and girlfriend. It remains unclear at this time exactly who shot who, but deputies say that the shooter died by suicide. The person rushed to the hospital is expected to recover. No other information has been released. Relief is on the horizon for drivers in Rock Hill, but it may be yet a few more months away. The White Street Corridor in downtown Rock Hill has been under construction for months now. Project Management Team Supervisor for the City of Rock Hill, Rob Ruth, gave us an update.
This is the portion of White Street from Dave Loud to Elizabeth, and there's also some pedestrian improvements around the intersection of Caldwell. The utility and stormwater work should be complete within 6 days, and then we are going to come back through and put down surface paving and landscaping work, and then the paving and landscaping portion, that's only going to take 45 days, but the road will be open for traffic.
Once work on White Street is completed, the city then begins utility work on Oakland Avenue. Mr. Ruth also expects the pavement portion of construction on Cherry Road to be completed by the middle of this October. York County Council has approved the second reading of an ordinance that would change the language of an animal control ordinance that allows people to tether their dog inside or outside of a fence. York County Councilman William Bump Roddy said the council is pushing to disallow any citizen that resides in York County to use a tether to restrain their dog.
Now, part of the ordinance does allow you to use what's called a zip line/trolley system, but it will totally disallow a rope, a chain, a wire. The only way that you can physically restrain your dog in York County after Monday night coming 2 weeks from now will be on a zip line or trolley.
Council's next meeting will be Tuesday, September the 3rd, where third and final reading will be decided upon. Authorities say a police officer in Columbia shot a man who was dragging him with his car. Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook said 29-year-old Sir Brandon Leggett was pulled over for a traffic stop around 3 a.m. Saturday morning when the officer discovered he was also wanted for burglary. Holbrook says that Leggett refused to get out of his vehicle and drove away as the officer was partially inside. The chief said in a statement that the officer managed to get his gun and shoot Leggett in the head. Holbrook says Leggett's vehicle went into a ditch. Leggett was seriously injured while the officer was treated and released for injuries that he suffered while he was dragged. The officer has been placed on paid leave while state law enforcement division investigates that shooting. And while many are accusing President Donald Trump of being a white supremacist or being racist, South Carolina senior U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says that's simply not true, and the president is actually quite simple.
You can be black as coal or an albino. If you like him, he likes you. If you don't like him, he don't like you. It's all about him. It ain't about who you are or your color of your skin.
The full Lindsey Graham Straight Talk interview can be heard this coming Wednesday right here on WRHI. In the WRHI News Center, I'm Stephen Stone.
Hello, Palmetto Arena.
Hello, young man. Is there one of those monster truck rallies in town?
Nope, we don't have anything scheduled.
Well, one of those things just smashed through my retirement community. It nearly hit my dear Milton.
Well, ma'am, I'm sure that...
Wait, there's a hot tub in the back?
Water aerobics at 5, ladies.
Well, I see we have a new instructor.
Your life could be exciting enough. If not, play Mega Millions from the South Carolina Education Lottery.
How long has it been since you compared your insurance rates? You know, you might save yourself some money. Hey, Chuck Boozer from my insurance agency, the Angel Insurance Agency of Rock Hill. David Angel saved me some money. He might be able to save you some too. I've got everything. The homeowners, the automobiles, my life insurance. It's all with one guy, one phone call, 803-327-6112 or online at angelinsurance.com. The reason they're number one, they just take good care of their people and have been for over 25 years throughout Rock Hill. See for yourself. It's the Angel Insurance Agency of Rock Hill.
Start the season with a win during the Great American Tailgate at Fort Mill Ford, where you can expect a better buying experience and a great Sonic price. Get to Fort Mill Ford today, FortMillFord.com, because every car deserves a happy owner.
This is Casey with Moe's Southwest Grill. Come out all day for Moe Monday. Get any burrito and all-you-can-eat chips and salsa for only $5.75 from open to close. Moe's Southwest Grill, Manchester Village in Rock Hill, and Kensington Drive in Waxhaw.
Honey, the roof is leaking again.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
This is Paul Brown with Brown's Roofing Company. We do have time for that. For free estimates, 980-7663 or brownsroofingcompany.com.
That's what your wife will say when the air conditioner stops doing its job. Plan ahead. Let the experts at Lighthouse Heating and Cooling perform a tune-up on your air conditioning unit. Call me, James, at Lighthouse Heating and Cooling, 329-1200 to schedule your appointment.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI.
Good morning. Right into the danger zone with us right here on WRHI. It's August 26th. Yes, it's Monday, but we can do this together. Glad to have you with us on Palmetto Mornings. I'm Patty Mercer along with Manning Kimmel.
Well, good morning, Patty. How are you?
Oh, hey. Just
I want
like
you to
I'm
show
there.
that.
Check this out.
Show that, right?
Yep.
That's, those were handed out at the rain-soaked stadium opener.
Very
for
cool.
Catawba Ridge on Friday night.
That looks nice.
It was rain everywhere, as we well know. Do you know what the name of the stadium is at the Catawba Ridge High School?
Would it be the Snake Pit?
It's the Snake Pit.
Well, you know who coined it?
Who?
Our very own Chet Tucker. Well, he did here live on the radio. He backed up a little bit, though, and said, well, maybe,
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stadium. Absolutely.
It is. It's
so
fancy.
bad that we had so much rain, but everybody had rain Friday night. Game got off around 9 o'clock and walked right out on that synthetic field. And
synthetic
just played.
field, exactly. Yeah. In my mind, I'm thinking there's no way they can go on and play a game after this much rain. Thinking back to the days of my youth when football was actually played on grass and there's mud that is with the grass.
Yep.
Not now.
All right, in the sports vein, Patty.
Yes.
A little sports quiz for you this morning.
I knew you were going to do this, and I'm so
And I know you're ready. I know you're ready.
Okay.
I'll give
Maybe
you the
halfway.
easy. I'll give you the easy one first. All right.
Okay.
Who won $15 million yesterday?
McElroy.
That's it, Patty.
Okay. Woo!
And what did he win?
He won the PGA.
No.
Okay.
No.
He
The
won
Tour
in Atlanta, Tour Champion. FedEx.
And the FedEx.
And the FedEx Cup for golf.
Good. All right. Not bad.
Okay.
How well did he do last year, Patty?
He didn't do so well.
That's right. Who did he lose to last year, Patty?
Don't know.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. That's right. That was the Tiger Woods comeback.
All right. Now, Patty.
Oh, Lord.
For a bonus round here.
You would be a great teacher.
What
because
else
you're
happened?
enjoying
What
this
else happened at
far
the
too
Tour
much.
Championship that was of newsworthiness?
Lightning struck.
Aha. And what happened?
And several were injured.
6 people.
Okay.
They caught the whole lightning blast on video.
I did not see this
video. That
video.
bolt came down and exploded a tree, and it was all the debris from the tree that hurt the people.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it just pulverized that tree.
Whoa.
So anyway, they're all okay.
Well, that's good.
And I heard
hopefully they still have eyes.
Heard an interesting phrase. When thunder roars, go indoors.
When thunder roars, go indoors.
12 people have died from lightning strikes this year.
Well, yeah, because thunder follows lightning, so that's kind of your warning.
All right.
And now, Teach, we have our little jingle
now
that
for
we
the
say.
bonus round, Patty.
Oh,
the bonus round.
Oh, no.
I know you're going to get this.
Oh, my God, I got nothing else.
Who shocked the...
You know I'm not... Oh, I know. I know. Shocking was my key word. Go ahead.
Come on.
Andrew Luck.
That's it.
Woo!
And what position does he play, Patty?
Quarterback, Colts.
Very good. Very good.
And he's only 29 years old, and they're saying it's because millennials aren't tough enough.
No. This guy has been really beat up.
Oh, yeah.
He was out the entire 2017 season because of injury.
He says it's interfering with just everything. He can't even live his life.
He played at Stanford. He was the number 1 pick in 2012, and he has been besieged by injury. He just had a tough
but
time.
it really hurt my heart when he got booed for that decision because come on. He can make the decision based on what he knows. We don't know his life.
It's all the timing of his decision. I mean, we're a week or two out from the start of the season, and he says, I'm not going to play. I got that. But for the fans to do what they did, no.
Yeah, doesn't he reserve the right to play next year, though, perhaps? If he can change his mind, I think.
I think he's finished.
He's done.
He is
It's a lot of
finished.
money.
Yeah.
$123 million contract.
Well, Patty, that's not bad. You did pretty good. Pretty good
Thank
on the
you.
sports quiz for a Monday morning.
Must be your teaching. Showing up, giving me that chance to shine.
All right. So, in other news of more importance, the military in Brazil has finally been deployed.
Finally?
Finally. To fight these fires down in the Amazon and to stop the clear cutting of these 400-year-old trees. Can you imagine this?
No.
Here was another phrase I heard over the weekend. The Amazon is part of our climate security.
Yes.
Our world's climate security.
20% of oxygen for the world.
Not to mention all the carbon dioxide that's absorbed.
Yeah. Come on, people. Now this is time to take action.
And what is being lost forever. You're never going to replace those trees. Never.
Wow.
400-year-old trees? All right.
No.
Did you catch this one? Does the name Anne McClain mean anything to you, Patty?
Nah, I should have stopped while I was ahead. Can you give me another hint?
She's an astronaut.
Oh, I know this. I know the rest of the story.
Well, go ahead. Tell us.
Well, I know that. So it's the first crime committed in space. Cosmos crime. And it has to do with what? Money taken out of...
She is alleged. Let's use the word.
So the astronaut is alleged of
She's
doing
alleged
this.
to have used a computer up in the space station.
Yes.
Where she was floating around for 200-plus days to clean out a bank account of her estranged spouse. And there was some kind of a brutal custody battle and what have you.
Yes, but
Cosmos crime.
It's
my gosh.
It's wow. That's out of sight, man. It's when you think you know it all.
All eyes are going to be on the stock market today, trying to figure out whether the news that popped up out of the G7 yesterday will turn it around. They lost 600 points, on Friday with this trade war escalating between China and the U.S. But now the president says China's been on the phone. They want to sit down and talk. And he's got a big deal with Japan that is all but inked and ready to go.
And I think
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the calls from China came in on Sunday, which means the president never stops working, obviously, 7 days a week, 24/7.
He is the Energizer Bunny
He really
on fire.
is.
Yeah,
he really is.
He really is.
We hope. I tell you what. Let's hope our morning commuters are not the Energizer Bunny. But you take your time and just get there safely. It's 6:19. We'll take it to traffic, see what's happening on the roads where you are.
South Carolina Highway Patrol reports that they're still on the scene in Lancaster. The vehicle versus deer incident at Terza Church Road right there at East North Cornered Road, so watch out for that. York and Chester County getting the all clear. Dave Lyle Boulevard, Cherry Road, and Celanese Road are accident-free in Rock Hill at this time. 77 northbound out of York County on your way to the state line. That's a good ride this morning so far. North of the border, crews are picking up the barrels at I-77 northbound near Clanton Road. You still got some leftover delays, so watch out for that. In the traffic center, I'm Stephen Stone.
Still feels amazing out there this morning. Mostly clear sky and comfortable. Our temperatures barely getting the low 80s this afternoon. Still low humidity and nice sunshine expected. We're looking for a quiet pattern for now, but some showers will be returning tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Get smart about your insurance. Presented by Gill Insurance, your auto owner's agent. Because being smart about your insurance can save you money and make sure your coverage is there when you need it.
True or false, Jim Gill? A lot of what you're seeing here at Gill Insurance every day has to do with ID theft?
Absolutely. People's identity can be stolen very easily online with your computer, and everybody's on their phones or on their tablets or on their computers, buying stuff. And in Amazon world, we just live in it type situation, and their identification and their bank account information is getting stolen on a regular basis, and it is very, very inconvenient when that happens.
And we're talking to somebody who has first-hand experience in this.
That's happened to me, and it's kind of like a car accident. I've had those too. But when your ID theft gets stolen and you also become aware of your bank calls you whatever, it is really unsettling, if nothing else. And it's really hard to recover your ID and get your credit protected.
So the bottom line of this is you want to get some ID theft insurance coverage just in case this might happen to you.
Absolutely. We can endorse your homeowner's policy to put it right on there for $25 a year. It's peace of mind coverage.
Thank you, Jim Gill.
Thank you.
You know texting while driving is dangerous. That's not new information. Yet most people admit to doing it anyway. Drivers are 23 times more likely to be involved in a car accident while texting. Know the facts and wait to text. The danger is real and it applies to you. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Information provided by Virginia Tech Transportation Institute. Gill Insurance in Rock Hill and Gill Holler Insurance in Fort Mill. Online at gillagencies.com.
Make sure your coverage is what you think it is and save money. Call Gill Insurance in Rock Hill and Gill Holler Insurance in Fort Mill, your auto owner's agent.
The College Football Hall of Fame released its Team of the Decades for the 2010s yesterday, and former Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson was named the Offensive Player of the Decade. Watson was joined on the team by former Tigers teammate defensive lineman Christian Wilkins. The top 10 overall teams were also named, with Clemson coming in third. The Tigers' national championship win over Alabama was named the Game of the Decade. Former Northwestern High quarterback Mason Rudolph continued his pursuit of the Pittsburgh Steelers' backup job, as he was the first quarterback off the bench in last night's preseason game versus Tennessee. Rudolph, who replaced starter Ben Roethlisberger, threw a 41-yard touchdown pass on his first throw of the contest. Rudolph's Steelers visit the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night. Former South Point star Nick McLeod has been named a team captain for NC State University. McLeod is entering his fourth year as a starting defensive back for the Wolfpack. Rory McIlroy held off Brooks Koepka to win the Tour Championship and FedEx Cup yesterday. The $15 million payout was the largest in PGA history. The Norfolk Tides scored 7 runs in the game's first 5 innings as they topped the Charlotte Knights 8-1. After the setback, Charlotte drops to 74-58 on the season. The Atlanta Braves edged the New York Mets 2-1. With the victory, the Braves are 80-52 for the year. In other games around the majors, the Yankees, Orioles, Royals, Cardinals, Pirates, Astros, Diamondbacks, White Sox, Twins, Cardinals, Nationals, Giants, Padres, and Mariners were all winners. With your Monday sports, I'm Chris Miller.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI.
And good morning. It is 6:24, 65 degrees right here on WRHI FM 100.1, your home for news, talk, and sports. I'm Patty Mercer, along with Manning Kibble.
And from the land of the bizarre this morning,
Yes.
How about this one?
Okay.
From Los Angeles, a sheriff deputy out there is in big trouble because he called in on his radio claiming he was under fire by a sniper. But guess what?
What?
It was all a hoax.
Why did
Every
he do
bit
that?
of it. Nobody, there was, he claimed he'd been shot, right?
Right.
But when they went in there, they found out that he finally admitted that the bullet holes were made by him taking his knife and cutting a hole in his clothes with a.
Is he a middle child? Is he just starved for attention?
Well, he's a 21-year-old rookie who is no longer employed.
Guess not.
How
Bye-bye,
about that?
rookie.
All right, also from the land of the bizarre. Get this one now.
Okay.
Bail for a Hollywood realtor has been set at $2 million. They are charged with stealing jewelry, handbags, artwork, clothes, you name it. Apparently, the realtor would go in there, case the house during an open house, and then he had an accomplice who would come back later and steal all the stuff.
Too tempting. He just gave in. He gave in to that temptation. Wow.
All right, for you teenagers out there who think you are smarter than everybody else, get this now.
Which is all of them.
One of your peers from Florida is now going to jail because they had made one of these threats. Now he says, I had no intention of following through with this threat. I just wanted people to feel the pain I have in my heart, blah, 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 blah. He is facing felony charges. And the police report so far 14 school shooting threats nationwide this month alone. And the police, rightfully so, are taking every one of these very seriously.
You have to.
And you will end up in jail possibly for years. Woo. So when you start to fool around with the police, you better think twice.
It's just like you can't say bomb if you're standing in security at the airport.
Absolutely. Or
There's just
fire when you're
certain
in the middle of the building.
behaviors that are unacceptable.
Update on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane crash.
Right.
Apparently a mechanical function of some kind. The right main landing gear collapsed. The flight crew was credited with getting everybody out of there
lucky.
safely. And this morning they're saying the plane just would not respond the way it was supposed to respond. They were doing a go-round,
Okay.
which means the attempted landing was not going well, so they went up and came back down again, and the plane would not do what it was supposed to do. Wow. Nobody was hurt.
It's like when your power steering just stops working.
Yeah.
And then your other steering just says, I'm not working either.
There you go.
Hey, if he's taking a break, so am I.
Uh-huh. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg just finished treatment for a cancerous tumor on her pancreas.
That's
the
amazing.
treatment that went over 3 weeks went very well. She has a history of this. She says, I'm going to stay on that court as long as I can.
It really is amazing to me because pancreatic cancer is one of those silent killers. And there she goes. She just keeps on moving. Now, talk about a Duracell bunny right there.
Now, this is a good one. Good way to kick off the week.
Okay.
A brand new study by the Mayo Clinic, all right, of 1,700 people. Guess what you think that shows, Patty?
I have no idea.
Dog owners between 25 and 64 are healthier. They have better diets, lower blood sugar levels. The pets keep us from getting lonely, and they give us better overall heart health.
All right, and this is dogs.
Dogs.
What about cat owners? The study didn't go there.
Did not go to cats.
And we're not going there either.
No.
The bottom line is a dog will get you outside. They will not stop until they get you outside. And outside and, fresh air is good for you.
Well, you talk to Super K. She walks 3 to 4 miles every day with Mags, I can tell you.
There you go.
It's amazing.
There you go.
So anyway.
It's good for the dog. It's good for the owner. And it's nice to know
it's all good.
It's all documented, too.
It's all good. Big explosion, a gas explosion in downtown Baltimore, leveled a building, but nobody was hurt.
Those gas explosions are scary because they're just, we use gas in everything. And then you see something like that and you are reminded that you have to be careful and respect it.
One more question for you, Patty.
Oh, come on now.
From the world of sports, what gets started today?
Tennis? Yes.
What?
The big one? In New York? I know.
Go on, the name?
I can't think of it right now.
Where do we live?
I've been there.
U.S. Open?
U.S. Open tennis tournament.
And the place is called Flushing Meadows?
Yeah, Flushing Meadows, which I've been to before, which I should know that. But anyway, at least I got the sport right. So, do I get partial credit?
You do. I will give you partial credit.
Yay.
Actually, I'll give you a B+ today on your sports.
A B+?
Yeah.
Well, I like that because there's always room for improvement.
That's true.
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't fail, you're not trying. And always fall forward. I listened to a podcast from Denzel Washington, and he was doing a commencement speech at one of the universities, and he said, you got to fail. Fall forward.
You learn nothing out of success. You learn it all out of failure.
You got to be willing to take a risk.
Absolutely.
I know.
Don't be afraid to fail. Just worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try.
And you know what I find fascinating? So many people that we credit for being so successful in their lives, going back and studying how many failures they had prior to.
Again.
You just keep going.
Yep.
All right. That seems to be the theme this morning. But for now, we want you to keep going as you get ready to start this Monday work week and school week. It is 6:30. 65 degrees right here on WRHI.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump in France meeting with more world leaders at the G7 summit here with German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
We're going to come to some conclusions. We talked about a new trade deal between, not just Germany, between the Union and ourselves, European Union, and I think, we're having some very good discussion.
He meets with India's prime minister in a bit, then takes questions from reporters, then heads home. There are rewards offered by the city of St. Louis in the fatal shootings of 4 children between April and this past Friday night.
The mayor of St. Louis announcing this weekend rewards of $25,000 each for information leading to arrests in the 4 recent shootings of children. The $25,000 rewards are available only through September 1st, the mayor emphasizing the urgency to solve the 4 crimes.
Fox's Ann Carrick. Dow futures are up 165 points ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. America's listening to Fox News.
And good morning. It is 6:31, 65 degrees right here on WRHI. Let's take it to our traffic center for a look at that morning commute.
York and Chester County getting the all clear from South Carolina Highway Patrol this time around on our Monday morning traffic commute. Law enforcement still on the scene in Lancaster County of the earlier vehicle versus deer incident at Terza Church Road at East North Corner Road. Dave Lyle Boulevard, Cherry Road, Celanese Road beginning to get busy now, but accident-free at this time in Rock Hill. 77 northbound out of York County on your way to the state line. That is a nice ride for the moment. North of the border, working an accident, Albemarle Road at Regal Oaks. In the traffic center, I'm Stephen Stone.
Quiet out there to start out our work week with lots of sunshine today, less cloud cover than what we saw over the weekend. We're looking at highs only around 80 degrees, really comfortable for this time in late August. Low 80s continue tomorrow, but a few showers will return, maybe a couple thunderstorms Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
To the WRHI News Center for a check of your local headlines, brought to you by Corel Insurance, professional coverage, personal service.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Corel Insurance in Rock Hill. Online at CorelInsurance.com.
In 60 days, construction will be completed on the East White Corridor in downtown Rock Hill. This is according to Rob Ruth, project management team supervisor for the city of Rock Hill, who said following that project, construction will then begin along Oakland Avenue. And that project will begin with utility work, which is expected to take about 4 months.
Upon completion, DOT will come in to do a streetscape and repaving project through there. Because of the downtown events and winter, we're not planning to start the utility work until early 2020, and then after that, the DOT will actually come in and do their work. The DOT work will be paid by Transportation Enhancement Program funds.
Mr. Ruth is also expecting the pavement portion of construction on Cherry Road to be completed by the middle of this coming October. One person is dead, another was rushed to the hospital after a shooting in York County late Saturday night, according to sheriff's deputies. Sources told our television news partner, Channel 9 Eyewitness News, that shooting happened along Pine Bluff Court near Steel Creek Road, which is right outside of Fort Mill. According to the York County Sheriff's Department, it was a domestic dispute between a boyfriend and girlfriend. It remains unclear at this time exactly who shot who, but deputies have said that the shooter died by suicide. The person rushed to the hospital is expected to recover. No other information has been released. On Tuesday, September 3rd, York County Council will discuss the third and final reading of an animal control ordinance that would disallow any citizen that resides in York County to use a tether to restrain their dog. The issue has been seen with much discussion by animal supporters at the past 2 council meetings.
Honestly, they want every dog to be treated like a child, every dog to be treated like a family member, every dog to reside inside of a home. And we don't have citizens who think that way. But realistically, what they're wanting is that every dog to roam free, whether inside of a fence or on a trolley system.
That's York County Councilman William Bombrati, who says the citizens would be allowed to use a zip line to restrain their dog. A South Carolina inmate's now convicted for trafficking drugs while behind bars. The U.S. attorney said that Glenn Purnell used contraband cell phones to arrange deliveries of cocaine and heroin. He was serving time at Lieber Correctional in Dorchester County. Officials say that family and friends helped him, and they're facing now anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. We've also reported to you about inmates in the past committing crimes in prison for using cell phones. South Carolina's Department of Corrections has been fighting this for years now. Most recently, they started using cell phone detection towers, body scanners, and nets to stop people from tossing phones over prison fences. Presidential candidate Joe Biden will be campaigning in the upstate later this week. The former vice president will hold town halls in Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney, and Rock Hill on Wednesday and Thursday. Biden was last in the Palmetto State back in July. And South Carolina U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham says he believes Donald Trump has been a, quote, damn good president for the United States, end of quote. Senator Graham says he wants to do right by the country, and, well, he is a street fighter.
It's no accident the economy is stronger because we've cut taxes and deregulated the economy. It's no accident ISIS has been destroyed. Now, they could come back, but the caliphate has been destroyed because President Trump let the military do their job. Look at the judges he's picked. They've been world-class conservatives.
The entire Senator Lindsey Graham interview will be heard on Straight Talk this coming Wednesday here on WRHI. In the WRHI News Center, I'm Stephen Stone.
Somebody injures somebody else due to their negligence and they're not willing to step up and make that person whole again. We're the ones that go and make that happen.
We work together to make sure that what we're doing is understanding our client. It's very difficult to be a voice for someone that you don't know.
We don't want somebody to feel alone when they're not able to provide for their family because of an injury. We want people to know that there's somebody out there that will fight for them.
We don't want you to fight your own battles. We don't want you to go it alone. We want you to call Schiller & Hamilton because we've got you back.
Schiller & Hamilton Law Firm. Don't go it alone. 803-366-0333.
Too many people take their eyes for granted and ignore routine eye care. Doing so leads to complications that can lead to loss of clear vision. This is Dr. Scott Oliver. To address this issue, Oliver Eye Associates presents Watch Your Eyes, a weekly program series to educate families on proper eye care. Watch Your Eyes is heard Tuesdays on WRHI 100.1 FM, presented by Oliver Eye Associates in Rock Hill, providing optometric services and vision care products since 1963. We believe life is all about your vision.
Relax. Love your car payment with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. If you're ready to buy your new car and start making those unforgettable memories, Founders features an easy online application, flexible terms, low rates, 24-hour account access with Founders Online, and fast, friendly service. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or one of our more than 30 offices to see if you qualify for membership. Relax. Love your car payment with Founders. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Hey Rock Hill, we're James River Equipment, your local John Deere dealership. We're here and we're dedicated to supporting you with customer service you won't find anywhere else. We have a full line of John Deere equipment from residential to large ag and everything in between. Plus we offer free delivery on compact utility tractors and a 10-year warranty with yearly service. Come find us at 380 North Anderson Road, just 1 mile north of York Tech. Request a quote today at jamesriverequipment.com.
The Toyota National Clearance Event is on at Toyota of Rock Hill. Get behind the wheel of a new Toyota with real zero deal clearance pricing. 0% APR, zero do-it signing, 0 payments for 3 months, and 0 cost maintenance. Plus, everything is backed by our rock-solid guarantee. Get to the National Clearance Event at Toyota of Rock Hill today. Located minutes from Uptown and exit 79. ToyotaRockHill.com. Select new 2019 models with approved credit. Excludes tax, tag, license, registration fees. Includes $3.99 doc fee. Deferral payments added to loan. Expires 9/3/19.
How well do you know your heart? Is your lifestyle contributing to avoidable problems? Are there signals from your heart that you should be paying attention to? Carolina Cardiology wants you to understand more about your heart, so each Wednesday, one of their cardiologists will be discussing subjects like these right here on WRHI 100.1 FM. Know Your Heart covers topics affecting your heart and advances in medical technology dealing with them. Know Your Heart, presented by Carolina Cardiology Associates, with offices in Rock Hill, Fort Mill, and Lancaster.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI.
And good morning. Good Monday morning. We are so glad to have you with us right here on Palmetto Mornings. We are looking at 640, 65 degrees. It's dry, which is more than we could say for some of the weekend weather that we experienced. We'll get into that right now. I'm Patty Mercer along with Stephen Stone. Like I said, this is WRHI right here on FM 100.1. Is that right? My head is so out.
You're on FM 100.1. You're on AM 1340. You're on WRHI.com around the world. You're on Comporium Cable Channel 103, 1103. You're all over the place.
We're everywhere. It's just...
It's like Chicken Man. We're everywhere.
Too much
We're
Patty.
everywhere. Well, I don't know if we could ever have too much Patty.
Oh, I know I can. Hey, but we can never have too much Stephen Stone. It's good to see you, my friend.
It's good to be here.
Busy weekend.
Very.
Talking, high school football. What a way to start.
Well, Mother Nature, always wins. Doesn't matter what the sport is. We talked about it through the summer with Pride Baseball, and of course, we had good fortune with the Football City USA kickoff powered by Hospitality Heating and Air. That was great. But week 0, and it wasn't just us.
No.
I mean, it was all over the place. You had some games that were completely scrubbed.
Right.
It's
Which,
on,
it's funny, Stephen, because we did a send-off. Our youngest son went to college, so we did a send-off at my mom's house Friday night. She made us favorites, fried chicken, gravy. It was so good. As we were leaving, it was pouring, and all I could think of, there is no way that they can play the games because look at all this rain. There's going to be so much mud. And then I realized, wait a minute. And it's synthetic fields, too, so you don't have the same
not
mud
all are
to grass
synthetic.
ratio.
Well, some are synthetic, a number of others are not, and you can play in the rain, it's football. You can play in the snow, it's football. You can play in beautiful weather, it's football. You cannot play when there is a lightning strike. Now, when you have a lightning strike within a 5 to 10 mile radius of where you are, that is an automatic 30-minute delay. People were instructed to leave the stands and go to their cars, which they did at a number of places. Rock Hill School District 3 for the Rock Hill Sumter game. It happened out in your neighborhood there in Fort Mill. You had 3 games being played right up and down the road there, Nation Ford, Catawba Ridge, and Fort Mill. Everybody was delayed except for the Lancaster Indian Land game, which is south of here.
Okay.
However, they got about, 8 minutes into the first quarter with 8 minutes on the clock, and suddenly they were delayed.
Wow.
Because what was here moved southeast.
Well, some of the kickoffs were delayed more than once, starting at 9 o'clock, starting after 9 o'clock.
We had games starting, I think, everywhere from about 8:30 till about 9:30 across the OTS Sports Network, because we had, as you remember, 6 games. The Central game with Broome on 107.3 down there at WCRA, they were on time because they were well south of all this, and they were, there were some games that were not impacted, but again, that front was mainly pretty much up in this part of the woods, and it just kind of moved southeast from here.
And you could kind of watch it on the satellite. I mean, on our
and
smartphones,
we were all
we see
looking
that.
at it.
So that gives a better idea of predicting if you're all waiting for an eventual game or if you wait and then you're told to go home after all. But the fans are fans, and they showed up, man.
Yeah, they were there in force.
Right.
And Saturday night was great. Chris Miller, Mo Bell over at District 3 again. No weather impacting South Point and Northwestern. That was a shootout. South Point winning 17-14. And all of these games are on our website, WRHI.com. You
Wonderful.
go to the audio game vault or the game. I'm not saying it right.
It's a Monday.
But you can, and the coffee hasn't kicked in. But you can find the game of your choice that we carried. It's all there.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, and I'm just so thankful for the knowledge I have on football because riding with my son to college Saturday morning in the rain gave me plenty of information to share and topics to discuss because, we can venture into other topics, but we always seem to come back to football. The End Zone, I listened to it Saturday morning. It was great. I know the Encore show is on Saturday morning, and I enjoyed it very, very much. And it sounded so smooth, and I know I can't wait to hear all the updates because there's the reality of the week 0 for everybody.
Well, and you got to give props to Coach Alan Miller because he had to extend the pregame. Now, we script the pregame, and it's a 90-minute pregame. The man had to go on for an extra hour, okay? And it became more like a news report from there. So, great job by him. And the school district folks who chipped in and helped out to keep the information going. And we had a snafu down here, a little communications mishap on our end, where we accidentally took him off for a couple of minutes there and went to a Chris's Open for the Lancaster game because they were getting started. But we were able to get back to him, and people got the information that they needed. Because, again, with the lightning delay, everybody moves to the cars, and what do? You turn on your radio.
You turn on your radio.
Because we're still working. So, a great job by the High School Football Tonight crew out at District 3 Stadium on Friday night.
Awesome.
Because, you had, Yeah,
Well, like you said-
you've gone through the script. Now you have an hour.
Yeah.
And you don't know that you have an hour, but it turns into that. And
Sure.
you just did a great job.
And in terms of inclement weather, like you said, your radio is the go-to.
Well, yeah.
To get that up-to-date information. Andrew Luck of the Colts.
He's pretty smart. He's doing
retiring,
this-
29 years old.
Well, he's had an injury-riddled professional career, and he came back last year and did well. But I mean, you listen to your body.
Yeah, but boy, the fans don't want to see him go, do they?
Well, they're not real happy because they don't feel that they got their money's worth, and there's probably a strong argument to be made for that, because of the injury-riddled career and all that. But you move on. This is not the first time that the Colts have been jilted by a quarterback. When they were in Baltimore, they drafted a kid named John Elway who flat out told them, hell no, I ain't going to Baltimore, And he wound up in Denver and a Hall of Fame career where he's
did
now
pretty
an
well
executive.
with that decision.
He did very well with that decision.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to make a decision based on
something
what
about
is
the Colts
best.
and quarterbacks. They ain't really had one since Johnny Unitas.
I hear you.
That's going back away.
Yep.
My hair had color and I was much younger. I wasn't old enough to drive.
I'll just file that under my football trivia information in case it comes up and I need to know it one day.
The Golden Arm.
The Golden Arm.
Johnny
Gotcha.
U.
Okay. Hey, right now we are looking at 648, 65 degrees here on WRHI FM 100.1. Let's take it on over to our traffic center and see what's happening on the roads where you are.
York and Chester County getting the all clear from South Carolina Highway Patrol this time around on our Monday morning traffic commute. Law enforcement still on the scene in Lancaster County of the earlier vehicle versus deer incident at Terza Church Road at East North Corner Road. Dave Lyle Boulevard, Cherry Road, Celanese Road beginning to get busy now, but accident-free at this time in Rock Hill. 77 northbound out of York County on your way to the state line. That is a nice ride for the moment. North of the border, working an accident Albemarle Road at Regal Oaks. In the traffic center, I'm Stephen Stone.
Still feels amazing out there this morning. Mostly clear sky and comfortable. Our temperatures barely getting the low 80s this afternoon. Still low humidity and nice sunshine expected. We're looking for a quiet pattern for now, but some showers will be returning tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Keith Monday from Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
It's the 75th anniversary of WRHI Radio, and this is a WRHI Anniversary Minute.
The year was 1988. The city of Rock Hill grows for the third time in as many years when it brings in over 1,600 acres during the annexation of mostly undeveloped land on Dave Lyle Boulevard. In doing so, Rock Hill grows to a size of 23 square miles. WRHI broadcasts Vice President George Bush's address to senior citizens at the Elks Club during his campaign stop in Rock Hill. And the second annual WRHI Spring Homemaker Show is held at the Winthrop Coliseum, attracting over 10,000 area listeners for a day-long event of free exhibits, prizes, and shows. The popular annual event continued for 8 years and featured such notable celebrities as Cajun cook and humorist Justin Wilson and soap opera stars Walt Wiley and John Loprino. I'm Gene Knight, and this has been a WRHI Anniversary Minute.
Time now for York County on the Move, a weekly program series on how our county government is working to make York County what we all want it to be.
And back with us today on York County on the Move is Edgar Harden. He is the Deputy Assessor for York County, and we've been talking about this whole issue about legal residence exemption. And you defined that for us in our program last week and how you qualify. So how do you go about applying for this special assessment, Edgar?
Property owner must apply for the 4% assessment ratio before the penalty date that taxes are due. So, for instance, if you acquire a property in 2019, you need to apply before January 15th of 2020. I would advise to apply as soon as you buy the property or move into the property and update your information with the DMV.
And then I guess the next question would be, how often do you have to apply? Do you have to do this regularly?
It's a one-time application as long as you continue to meet the eligibility requirements. If you no longer meet the requirements, you need to notify the assessor within 6 months per law. And also, if you acquire a new property and you change your legal residence, you'll need to reapply for that new property.
And of course, the $10,000 question is what happens if you don't apply?
If you don't apply, you will be assessed at the default 6% ratio. If you have any questions, please visit our website at yorkcountygov.com or give us a call here in the assessor's office, 803-684-8526.
And very quickly, how is it again that you define legal residence exemption?
The legal residence exemption is the 4% assessment that is given to owner-occupied properties. So you must own and occupy the property as your permanent home.
Edgar, thank you very much.
Thank you.
To hear a replay of shows, go online to WRHI.com. Your County on the Move, a weekly program series on the county government's effort to meet the challenges of a rapidly growing population.
The College Football Hall of Fame released its Team of the Decades for the 2010s yesterday, and former Clemson quarterback win over Alabama was named the Game of the Decade. Former Northwestern High quarterback Mason Rudolph continued his pursuit of the Pittsburgh Steelers' backup job as he was the first quarterback off the bench in last night's preseason game versus Tennessee. Rudolph, who replaced starter Ben Roethlisberger, threw a 41-yard touchdown pass on his first throw of the contest. Rudolph's Steelers visit the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night. Former South Point star Nick McLeod has been named a team captain for NC State University. McLeod is entering his fourth year as a starting defensive back for the Wolfpack. Rory McIlroy held off Brooks Koepka to win the Tour Championship and FedEx Cup yesterday. The $15 million payout was the largest in PGA history. The Norfolk Tides scored 7 runs in the game's first 5 innings as they topped the Charlotte Knights 8-1. After the setback, Charlotte drops to 74-58 on the season. The Atlanta Braves edged the New York Mets 2-1. With the victory, the Braves are 80-52 for the year. In other games around the majors, the Yankees, Orioles, Royals, Cardinals, Pirates, Astros, Diamondbacks, White Sox, Twins, Cardinals, Nationals, Giants, Padres, and Mariners were all winners. With your Monday sports, I'm Chris Miller.
Palmetto Mornings on WRHI.
Good Monday morning, August 26th, right here on Palmetto Mornings on WRHI FM 100.1, your home for news, talk, and sports. You can also watch us on Comporium Channel 103. I'm Patty Mercer along with Stephen Stone.
Hi.
Hi. So this would be an awful way to start a Monday. Apparently, an Oregon woman was rescued from a septic tank after being trapped in raw sewage for days. Isn't that awful? She fell into a septic tank and she got stuck there.
How do you fall into a septic tank when they're usually buried underground?
Maybe the top was off. I don't know.
Big top for the woman to fall in and get stuck.
Yeah, it is. Firefighters pulled the unidentified woman from the tank on Tuesday, and rescue crews airlifted her to a hospital. I would think you would be potentially very sick.
Well, I could see them airlifting her.
E. coli.
You got to air her out.
She was alert enough that she was able to grab onto the D handle of one of our tools and set herself up a little bit. How did they find her in the first place?
Well, I imagine there was a lot of yelling going on.
Yeah. She had been working on the tank.
Okay.
Outside of her rural home where she lived alone, and she fell in. So, wow. Her closest neighbor was over 1,000 feet away, so she's really very lucky. You know, do you think about things like that when you are by yourself and you decide to maybe go up on a ladder?
No, I don't do stuff like that.
You just, I fell down the attic stairs one time and realized I don't have my phone in my pocket. So fortunately, I could get up and walk away, but there was that moment of what would happen if my leg was broken or my back was broken.
No, you wouldn't be getting up walking anywhere. You'd be waiting.
No, I would be waiting.
And you didn't have your phone on you, so you can't call for help. So, yeah, you're waiting.
Yeah, but wow, I would hate to be waiting in the septic tank.
Did she say to herself, well, this stinks?
I'm sure she said that. I'm sure she said that and a lot more.
You would say, oh, what? Well, it stinks. What great show material.
I know.
I can't wait to get to work and share this.
If only I worked in morning radio.
Oh, bless her heart. That's awful.
Oh, it just
it does stink.
We know
in the high heavens, brother.
Okay, let's move on. Some of our listeners are probably just starting with that first cup of coffee this morning, and we want you to enjoy. Don't go there. Don't go there. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So the Tour Championship and FedEx Cup, Roy McIlroy. Takes it home.
Yeah.
Roy McIlroy takes it home, $15 million.
Biggest payout ever.
Wow. And he earned it. I mean, it's
if
not
he
like.
wanted to earn it.
Yeah. The thing about golf, you win it, you get the money when you win the golfing championship.
Right.
But with other sports, you get the money on the promise that you're going to fulfill the potential. The expectation that you can bring it in, bring the W's, man. You know?
Well, that's what they give you the big bucks for in professional sports.
Yeah. Did you follow this astronaut accused of Cosmos
I heard
crime?
about